Well, good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. I wake up to these headlines. Florida now poised to become the first state in the nation to ban lab-grown meat. And then underneath it says, we're not going to do that fake meat. Wow. So, my first thought was, holy mackerel, a bastion. I'm living in a bastion of what may be the last place on the planet Earth where anybody has any common sense about all of this nutrition misinformation. It seems that the Florida legislature, in fact, let me read this. It says the GOP-controlled House of Representatives on Wednesday approved legislation that would prohibit the manufacturing for sale and distribution of lab-grown or cultured meat in the Sunshine State. Now, it's not going to be a big crime. It says violators would be subject to a misdemeanor of the second degree, which I think ranks somewhere between picking your nose at a parking ticket, but it's a start. They did show on the TV thing one of the speeches from somebody in the House of Representatives and discussing the opponent's arguments to this bill and his answer to them. And he basically said, while they claim that we need to have this research into cultured meat because of space travel and the fact that we may have to have food on the moon and Mars, he sarcastically said, well, I agree, and if they want to make moon food and sell it on the moon, I have no problem with that. He says, I'll even go a step further. He says, if they want to make Martian food and sell it on Mars, I'll have no problem with that. But here, he said, here in Florida, we don't want to eat this stuff. Now, there's a scientific angle to this, as well as an economic angle. And like everything else, everybody's argument is based on their own agenda. So, whoa, big surprise there. You expect the cattle farmers to be for the development of cultured meat? Of course not. Do you think the big manufacturers who want to mass produce this stuff are not going to be against this legislation? Of course not. And that's our problem. Nothing is decided in this world anymore based on what's right or wrong or what's common sense. It's whose bullshit agenda wins out over the other guy's agenda, and it's all politics. Well, as far as I'm concerned, this is not about politics. This is about health and nutrition, which should be a nonpartisan issue. We should be eating meat. This article goes on to talk about the arguments that both sides used. But I will tell you, it has passed the Florida Senate. It's passed the Florida House. It's on its way to Governor DeSantis' desk, says here, for consideration. And he earlier indicated his support, saying, we're not going to do fake meat. Ron DeSantis, your stock just went up in value in my book, and I would say in the book of most carnivores, people like us. Advocates for cultivated meat say that the product could provide a viable alternative to the industrial meat industry, which they maintain is deleterious to the environment. There you go. Cows are causing global warming, but all of those factory laboratories with their huge power consumption, they're perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. What could go wrong? What could go wrong growing Franken meat? While several states have passed laws regarding the labeling of cultivated meat in recent years, no state has gone as Florida in banning it outright. Though there are similar proposals currently moving in Arizona, Alabama, and New Hampshire. Wow, that surprises me. The nation of Italy also banned cultivated meat last November as well. The agriculture establishment in Florida is strongly in support of the legislation. Duh, you think? That includes the Florida Farm Bureau, the Florida Poultry Federation, and the Florida Cattlemen's Association. And wow, even the Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association is against fake meat. Let me repeat that. The Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association does not like this fake meat either. That's a surprise. In a debate earlier this week, Democrats criticized the proposal on several fronts. I don't think the state of Florida should be choosing winners and losers to allow corporate capture to take place, where we're basically bending the laws that benefit specific industries, says Orlando Democratic Rep. Ana Escalmami on Tuesday. I actually don't think cultivated meat is going to threaten any industry. It's not going to be an option that people choose for themselves. Well, why the hell are you making it? If you don't think people are going to choose to eat this slop, why are you defending its manufacture? Once again, poof, common sense, non-existent, has left the building. Jacksonville Republican Rep. Dean Black is a cattle rancher. Of course, he's for it, I understand. But this is something that's very important. And he said, cultured meat is not meat. Black emphasized on Wednesday. It comes from a single cellular source. They can actually develop several lines of cells, but it in no way replicates the actual chemistry of meat. It is more of a monoculture, and because it doesn't resist spoilage. In fact, because really what it is a Petri dish. It is simply a bacterial culture. It lacks the natural resistance to bacteria and viruses that we don't even test for. The Florida Agriculture Commissioner William Simpson issued a statement and says food security is national security. And we all have a responsibility to ensure Floridians have access to a safe, affordable, and abundant food supply. This legislation is a reflection of our continued commitment to support and protecting Florida farmers, ranchers, growers, and enhancing consumer protection and transparencies. The Florida vote in the House was 86 to 27. Senate passed the measure 26 to 10. So what's this all really about? Is it politics? Is it economics? Is it health and nutrition? So if you can't appeal to anything else, appeal to that indisputable fact that somewhere in our bodies we still recognize real food from crap, and our taste buds are maybe our last salvation of awareness. And while you're munching down on your ribeye and just enjoying the hell out of it, take the rest of the day off. and eat meat.